This is the miracle weed control product that we have all been waiting for. And in this video, I'm going to tell you all about it. This is Velocity PM. It is a selective herbicide that was just released to control Poa Annua and Poa Trivialis in cool season lawns and dormant Bermuda grasses. That's right, I said Poa Trivialis, that unsightly light green grassy weed that stands out in your well-maintained lawn and is the first weed you notice during the spring greenup. Velocity actually isn't all that new, but this updated formulation is now being sold to anyone. That is, if you are willing to pay the insane price tag, which we will talk about later. Previously, this was labeled exclusively for golf courses and sod farms. Up until now, for us DIYers, the only way to control Poa Trivialis in our cool season lawns was to manually remove it with limited success or consider a full renovation if there was a complete infestation. In today's video, we are not spraying anything, and that's because we are not within the spraying temperatures to apply this product. And that's why I wanted to create this video as soon as the product was launched, to inform you of all the important details you'll need to follow directly from the label instructions. This is a very low use rate product and the margin of error is very slim. I have heard reports of folks completely smoking their yards in the past using the previous formulation because they didn't follow the instructions. Everything I mention here is directly from the label and from catalog sheets published by New Farm, who is the manufacturer of Velocity PM. I plan to use this video as the basis of future videos where we are actually making applications and showing you the results. To keep those videos a bit shorter, all of the nitty-gritty details you need to know are going to be in this video. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ring the bell icon to be notified of that content. Also, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section and I'll do my best to answer every single one. Velocity PM is a group 2 herbicide that inhibits the enzyme acetolactate synthase, which plants require to produce certain amino acids. Once applied, the POA will stop growing within 3 to 7 days and start to turn yellow or brown within 3 to 14 days. Plant death typically occurs within 21 to 28 days. It is important to note that this is a post-emergent herbicide, meaning that this will only control the POA that has germinated and started to grow. This will not control POA that emerges after application. It is labeled to be safe on tall fescue, fine fescue, creeping bentgrass, dormant Bermuda grass, and dormant Bermuda grass that has been overseeded with perennial ryegrass. There is a special note about Kentucky bluegrass. POA is actually a type of bluegrass in itself. Therefore, Velocity PM may kill your Kentucky bluegrass depending on the cultivar. So before applying this to your Kentucky bluegrass lawn, you'll need to test a small area and follow up 21 days later to see if your turf has been impacted by the application. Not only will this control Poa Annua and Poa Trivialis, but it will also control other broadleaf weeds like chickweed, clover, even yellow nutsedge depending on its stage of development. And as an added bonus, this product will also suppress dollar spot. Now, as with any herbicide, it is extremely important to read and follow the label instructions. I am only going over the key points related to cool season grass types, but note that instructions for dormant Bermuda grass are different. Before applying, you need to be mindful of several important key factors. First off is the air temperature, and that is a big deal. Velocity PM causes chlorosis when applied to creeping bentgrass, tall fescue, and perennial ryegrass. When the air temperatures are below 60 degrees, symptoms appear more slowly, but they persist longer. Maximum weed control is observed when daily temperatures are between 70 and 85 degrees and when the turf is actively growing. I would highly encourage you to read through the listed restrictions, but some highlights include not applying when rain is expected within 4 hours, not mowing within 4 hours after applying, not applying if you see signs of pythium blight or if you notice stress due to drought, high or low temperatures, low fertility, heavy thatch, or mechanical injury of the turf, and not applying in heavy traffic areas or heavily shaded areas. When applying, you want to be mindful of the droplet size to control spray drift and get an even application when applying. To achieve this, you'll want to use a lower pressure on your sprayer equipment. somewhere between 20 and 50 psi. And consider using a spray tip that puts out a coarse droplet. I will be using the T-Jet air induction flat spray nozzles. Do not use flood jet nozzles for this application since it may result in inadequate coverage. The amount of velocity PM used varies depending on the grass type and the rate at which you want to control the POA. These are organized on the label as individual control programs for rapid conversion or slow conversion, and multiple applications are required for maximum weed control. So, for example, on tall fescue and perennial ryegrass lawns, the rapid conversion program includes up to 3 applications on the 21 to 28 day interval using a higher rate of velocity PM. You should consider that program when the POA infestation is less than 10% of the area and where complete removal will not result in unacceptable turf stand density. On the flip side, if you have a total infestation, you may want to consider a slower conversion program. This includes making monthly applications at a lower rate and allows the turf to slowly transition from a mixed stand of POA and the desirable turf to a solid stand of desirable turf. The rates provided in these programs are in units of ounces of velocity PM per acre and tells you to use a minimum of 20 gallons of spray solution per acre to ensure thorough coverage. So for smaller yards, you'll need to do a bit of conversion math to make sure that you have the correct mixture for your program. You'll likely be finding yourself measuring in terms of milliliters per 1,000 square feet. If you plan to do spot treatments, New Farm has literature that recommends mixing 1.5 mLs of velocity PM for every gallon of water in your backpack sprayer, assuming that your backpack sprayer is calibrated to deliver 1 gallon of spray per 1,000 square feet. Anything different from that and you'll need to change the dilution rate accordingly. The label gives instructions for overseeding after application and applications after overseeding. These are also based on your grass type, but for tall fescue and perennial ryegrass, the label says you can overseed 7 days after your final application. Some of the published literature I found from New Farm says even 10 days. And do not apply velocity PM until at least 30 days after overseeding when using lower treatment rates. If you plan on using higher rates and are overseeding with perennial ryegrass, you'll need to wait 60 days before treating. A few additional things to note include not mixing with surfactant of any kind. You do not need to use surfactant for this stuff. Avoid any unnecessary sprayer overlap, and velocity PM can be tank mixed with fertilizers, insecticides, PGRs, and other herbicides, but you probably should do a jar test to test for the physical compatibility of those products. Now, the price tag. It is not cheap, and I'll start off by saying that if you have a small yard, let's say 5,000 square feet, and you have Poa Trivialis, you'll probably be better off either digging it out, spot spraying with glyphosate, or doing a total renovation. If you have more than 10,000 square feet and have a good amount of Poa Trivialis, then you might want to consider this product. In between, it's a judgment call. But if you have Poa Annua and that's your only issue, I would just let that stuff die off in the summer heat and not even consider this at all. That's because this little 16-ounce bottle cost me $568 after taxes. It's certainly a tough pill to swallow, and you'll probably be seeing folks selling it on Facebook Marketplace by the ounce or splitting the cost of a bottle similarly to how folks are splitting the cost of plant growth regulators. And there you have it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for joining.